Today, we're going to dive into the story of a warrior from Indian history whose name you might not hear as often as some others, but whose legacy, well, it's absolutely immense. We're talking about Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, a king whose life was this incredible saga of relentless courage, brilliant intellect, and ultimately a sacrifice that changed the course of history. You know, this saying pretty much perfectly captures the man we're about to talk about. It speaks to a kind of fearlessness that's almost mythical. So, how did he earn a reputation like that? To really understand, we have to go right back to the beginning, to a childhood that was anything but typical. So, his story, it doesn't start in some protected, quiet palace. It starts right in the middle of intense political conflict. His early years were a real crucible, forging him into the leader he would eventually become. This wasn't a gentle upbringing at all. It was a trial by fire. And when you look at this timeline, wow, it just shows you the sheer weight of responsibility this kid had on his shoulders from day one. He lost his mother when he was just 2. And then, at 9 years old, think about it, he's not playing outside. He's being sent as a political hostage to the Mughal Empire to guarantee a peace treaty. Can you even imagine the pressure on a 9-year-old? And then a year later, he's part of one of the most daring escapes in history, getting out of Agra with his father. His entire childhood was basically a masterclass in strategy, survival, and sacrifice. Okay, so this brings us to what I think is one of the most incredible things about him, this duality of his genius. See, Sambhaji Maharaj wasn't just another warrior prince. He was also a deeply intellectual, cultured person, and that rare combination is what made him such a uniquely powerful leader. To really get who he was, you have to understand this title he had, Chhatrapati. It means lion's cub. His father, the great Chhatrapati Shivaji, was known as the Lion who built the Maratha Empire. So Sambhaji was his heir, born with this massive expectation to have that exact same fierce, uncompromising spirit. And believe me, he did not disappoint. And this slide just lays it all out, side by side. It's amazing. On one hand, you've got the scholar. The guy was fluent in 13 languages. That's crucial for diplomacy and gathering intelligence. And he wasn't just speaking them, he was writing complex political books in Sanskrit like Buddhbhushanam when he was just 14. 14! Then on the other hand, you have the warrior. At 16, he's already leading armies and winning battles. He's a master of mounted warfare, the sword, the spear, the whole deal. He was truly as comfortable with a pen as he was with a sword. So he becomes the second Chhatrapati of the Maratha Empire. And you might think, okay, maybe now's the time for peace, right? Nope. Not even close. His entire 9-year reign was just one period of constant, relentless war, a desperate fight for survival against one of the most powerful empires on the planet. 120. Just let that number sink in for a second. In only 9 years. That's more than a battle every single month. This wasn't really a reign. It was a perpetual state of war, defending his home from every direction. And here's the kicker. The fact that really defines his military legacy. 0. Out of 120 battles fought, he was never, ever defeated on the battlefield. It's a staggering, almost unbelievable record, especially when you see what he was up against. And this slide, this is what puts that incredible achievement into perspective. It was the ultimate David versus Goliath story. You had the Marathas with a small, nimble army of about 20,000 soldiers who were masters of guerrilla warfare, and they were facing the full might of the Mughal Empire under Emperor Aurangzeb, an army of almost 1 million men with basically unlimited resources. And yet, for 9 years, Sambhaji and his forces held them off, completely undefeated. You know, it got to a point where this wasn't just politics for the most powerful man in India. It became personal, a total obsession. The Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb saw Sambhaji as such a huge threat that he made a personal vow not to wear his own crown until Sambhaji was caught. He even moved his entire court, the whole shebang, to the Deccan just to focus on crushing this one man. So this begs the big question, right? If the guy never lost a single battle, how did his reign end? How on earth was this undefeated king finally captured? Well, the answer isn't on a battlefield. It's a story of treachery and pure deceit. The end came not through some brilliant military move, but through betrayal from inside his own family. Sambhaji was in a secret meeting in a place called Sangeshwar, a spot he thought was safe. He only had a small force with him, but his own brother-in-law, a man named Ganaji Shirke, was holding a grudge. He leaked the exact location and, crucially, the secret paths to get there straight to the Mughals. This let the Mughal commander completely bypass the Maratha defenses and launch a total surprise attack, surrounding the king before he even knew what was happening. And just like that, the lion was finally cornered. Not by a bigger army or a smarter general, but by the poison of betrayal. The one weapon he couldn't fight against was the disloyalty of his own family. His perfect military record was still intact, but his freedom was gone. His capture, this is really where the story shifts. It marks the beginning of the final and maybe the most defining chapter of his entire life. What happened to him in Mughal captivity is what would cement his place in history, not just as a great king, but as a symbol of an absolutely unbreakable spirit. So he's brought before Aurangzeb, the emperor who's been obsessed with catching him for years. And Aurangzeb offers him a deal, a chance to live. But the price was total and complete submission. He demanded Sambhaji give up everything he and his father had fought for, all the forts, the entire treasury, and his faith, his dharma, the very soul of their fight for self-rule. Faced with these demands, Sambhaji's response was just legendary, pure defiance. Instead of pleading for his life, he flips the offer right back on the emperor himself. This wasn't just brave, it was this powerful statement that even in chains, he didn't see himself as a conquered man. He saw himself as Aurangzeb's equal. Well, that refusal, it unleashed hell. What followed was 40 days of unimaginable, systematic torture. The whole point wasn't just to break his body, but to shatter his spirit. And for every single one of those 40 days, he refused to break. And it was for this ultimate act of defiance, for choosing a horrifying death over abandoning his faith and his people, that he earned the title Dharmavir. It means protector of Dharma, or hero of faith. His final battle wasn't fought with a sword, but with his spirit. And in that battle, he was victorious. So Aurangzeb thought he'd won, right? He believed that by executing Sambhaji, he would finally extinguish the Maratha rebellion for good. But in doing so, he made a colossal, catastrophic mistake. He didn't just kill a man, he created a martyr. And that martyr's story would become a fire that would eventually consume his own empire. On March 11th, 1689, Sambhaji Maharaj was executed. For Aurangzeb, it must have felt like the ultimate victory, the end of a long, frustrating war. He'd finally gotten rid of the thorn in his side. But the story was far, far from over. What Aurangzeb just didn't see coming was the effect Sambhaji's brutal death would have on the Maratha people. The news didn't crush them, it galvanized them. It turned a political war into a people's war. Every single Maratha, from soldiers to farmers, was now united with one single goal: vengeance. This ignited a war that would rage for another 27 years, a war of attrition that the massive Mughal Empire just could not win. And this chart, it just shows you the result in black and white. By the time Aurangzeb died in 1707, still stuck fighting in the Deccan, his empire was a shadow of what it once was. That 27-year war had bled his treasury dry and decimated his armies. The very campaign that was supposed to secure his power actually planted the seeds of his empire's collapse. In death, Sambhaji won a victory bigger than any he'd ever won on the battlefield. And all of this just leaves us with this one powerful question, doesn't it? The story of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj is so much more than just history. It's this incredible testament to how the unwavering spirit and ultimate sacrifice of one person can become a rallying cry for a nation, forging an identity and resolve that can outlast empires and echo for centuries.